My name is Mark Worobetz. I grew up in Union County, lived up here in Sussex County for the last 30 years. My question is about the pension and pension payments and the 2011 law. Our pension, if we paid the full pension this year, it would be $3.1 billion.
That's not even the full. That would be what was required under the 2011 law. That would be for the fiscal year starting July 1st.
Okay.
It would be $3.1 billion, which represents, I think at that point, 5/7 of the actuarially required payment. The full payment, if we were to make it, would be $4.5 billion per year from here forward. But,
okay. But just as per the 2011 law, it'd be 3.1.
Law is $3.1 billion.
Okay. And the budget, I believe, is $33.8 billion.
Ballpark.
All right.
Yep.
Rounding everything off.
Yep.
So if we do the mathematics, we would have $30.7 billion left over after we made the full payment. So my question is, if we make the full payment, then we meet our obligations and we still have the 30+ billion left. Don't you think we should keep our promise, fund the pension, and allow this to continue, and at the same time not get our bond ratings knocked down and meet our obligations?
Yeah, no, because
Okay.
what I would like you to do is come to my office and tell me where you're going to find the additional 1.7 billion out of the 30. So let's start with education funding. Education funding is $12.5 billion of the $33 billion, and we're not allowed to touch that per the Supreme Court. So $12.5 billion is off the table for openers. You then go to Medicaid. Medicaid is not an optional payment for us either. It's a partnership with the federal government, at some level 50-50, at some level 90-10. If we try to reduce Medicaid funding to help pay for this, not only would we hurt the poor people who rely on Medicaid to get their health treatment, but also the federal government would come back and do something they call clawback. If you reduce the benefits, they then come back and take, for a period of time prior to that, all the money they gave you for their 50% share, and you got to pay it back. So it's not only what you would reduce it and how that would hurt folks, but also you'd have to write a check to the federal government for Medicaid. Yeah. That's a multi-billion-dollar part of our budget.
Okay, but what I want to get point across is maybe there is a solution to this, because if...
What? What's the solution?
Maybe shared sacrifice would be a solution.
Like
we've taken it from, well, we've taken it from the police, the fire, the school
What have we
teachers, the
taken?
workers.
No, what have we taken?
The sacrifice, they're paying more and getting less.
They're not
but
getting less. They're getting exactly what they got before.
the pension benefits have been
No,
decreased.
the pension benefits have not decreased.
There's no more COLA. Teachers, the workers are having more taken.
COLA? Are you serious?
Well, that's a benefit,
No
isn't
more
it?
COLA? I mean, the fact is you're telling me that that's a sacrifice, that you don't get an increase in your pension every year that you didn't pay for when in fact you were in the system?
But wasn't it once a benefit that was taken away? And current workers are now paying more out of their salaries for...
Current workers are paying more because current workers weren't paying any, and still are not.
Okay, so...
wait a second, are still not paying anywhere near what they should be paying for the benefit that they're getting. They put in a fraction of what they ultimately get in return. A fraction.
I'm not arguing with that.
So
what I'm saying is...
they've been getting a bargain for years. So we're not even yet close to where they're paying what they should be paying, even with the 11 reform.
Well, back to shared sacrifice.
Yeah.
The police, the fire, these people have paid more in. Their benefits have decreased somewhat, but we haven't gone after everybody.
Who haven't we gone after?
Well, if we...
You want to go
let's
after
just...
more people in Medicaid?
No.
Okay.
Why don't we think about...
You want me to cut education funding to the kids in schools in New Jersey?
No,
which
but...
I'm, by the way, not allowed to do?
But we could possibly look into rolling back some of the benefits we gave tax credit-wise to 2008, 2007 levels for corporations and some of the rich. For the time being, till we got our feet underneath ourselves.
What benefits did the rich get exactly? Since the year 2001, taxes have gone up on the wealthiest in this state. Consistently gone up on the wealthy. In fact, to the point where we have the most progressive income tax system of any state in the country. The rich in New Jersey pay a higher percentage of the overall income tax than in any other state in the country. We have a millionaire's tax in this state that starts at $400,000 a year. A millionaire's tax. That starts at $400,000 a year. So that in New Jersey, we're the only state in America where you don't have to be a millionaire to be taxed like one.
Wasn't that 400,000, that number, didn't that sunset and you didn't?
No, what sunsetted was the Millionaires Tax Surcharge. We raised the Millionaires Tax to 9% for everybody who makes $400,000 a year or more. Then Governor Corzine put a surcharge to raise it to 10.75% on those people. That sunsetted. The Democratic legislature, before I became governor, had the opportunity to do your shared sacrifice idea, and they said, no, thank you. We're not going to extend it. They then, of course, the day I came into office, very soon thereafter, reintroduced it to try to see if the Republican governor would do what they didn't want their Democratic governor to do, which was to, once again, raise the tax and not let it sunset. So yes, the Democrats, Governor Corzine, and the legislature allowed the Millionaires Tax Surcharge, which raised it to 10.75% from 8.97% to sunset.
Okay.
And I have been unwilling to allow them to reinstitute it. That which they were unwilling to do in 2009, I have been unwilling to do since I became governor.
All right, I get the idea that we're not going to meet ground here. But maybe another idea, the state legislature gave you a bill at this past February or January that you vetoed to pay the pension off, or to make the pension payments in quarterly payments, just like most of us do in our property taxes.
Sure.
All right, now you vetoed it.
If you don't have the money, what difference is if you don't have the money every quarter or you don't have the money at the end of the year?
Well, if I took your philosophy, when my tax bill comes, I should pay my tax bill like you pay the pension payments. I'll wait to the end of the year around Christmas time. I'll sit there, look in my checkbook and go, whoa, I don't have enough money to pay my property taxes. Yeah. So what I'll just do, I'll do the Christie, which we'll call the Christie clause, and it gets me off my payments.
Go ahead and do that. That's your option you want to try. We'll see what happens.
But shouldn't we have reasonable, shouldn't Trenton be reasonable?
You see, here's the difference. When you decide not to do that, you're deciding that you don't want to spend your money. Here's the difference. If I don't have the money, it's not because I didn't work hard enough. If I don't have the money, it's because I didn't take it from all of you. So your deal is, what you want me to do, and I understand, you want me to raise taxes on everybody else to make this payment. When these folks get higher benefits, higher and better benefits than anybody who is paying for it, and they get better and richer long-term benefits than anybody who's here. And these folks in this state already pay some of the highest taxes in America. So what I'm saying is, you want shared sacrifice? Then have health benefits like everybody else has. Like everybody else has.
But Governor, you have the money.
I don't have the money.
You have $30 billion, $700 million that you do not wish to pay.
No, it's not that I don't wish to pay it. I have other legal requirements. So I said to you, where do you want me to do it? We've taken $12.5 billion off the table for school aid, which the Supreme Court absolutely prohibits me from touching. When I tried to reduce that by $500 million in 2011, the Supreme Court came back and ordered me to put the money back in. $500 million out of, at that time, about $11 billion. They ordered me to put the $500 million back in. Medicaid and all the other federally related programs that are pass-throughs in the budget, I can't take that money because if I do, the federal government's going to come back and tell me they want their share back. You think this is easy?
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not an easy decision.
Spending already $2.5 billion on everything other than pensions, health benefits, and debt service over the last 5 years. So I understand that you think you're making a really great point here. It's your point. Congratulations. But it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen. And if the Democrats had a way of doing it, they would. The only way, you don't hear them suggesting one reduction in spending anywhere, including on any type of tax credits that you're talking about, which, by the way, are payable over 20 years. And so you have to divide whatever number you want to use by 20. And that's the amount of money you have for this fiscal year for any tax credit. So my point to you is the money is not there, and the only way that it would be there is if you want to raise the sales tax from 7% to 10%, or you want to raise the income tax on everybody in New Jersey by 29%. If you want to do that, that's a perfectly logical position. I happen to disagree with it and won't sign it.
But let's go back to the bill you vetoed. If you made quarterly payments, let's say I go to my town hall and say, listen, I'm going through a rough time and I can't make my property tax payment.
mean,
Now,
you know, like,
no,
listen,
what I would do is
you're
they would
not
put
the-
me on a payment plan to make those benefits, to pay that property tax down.
And
The
I
same
have
thing as the
paid,
obligation
and
with the
I-
pension.
And as governor, I have put more money into the pension system than any governor in history. Than any governor in history. And so, you know, your argument, if you want to make it, go back and see the previous 5 governors and ask them why they didn't do the things they were supposed to do, and the legislatures who didn't do it. But just remember one thing, we put more money into it than anybody. This pension is in better shape because of the reforms we made. It's absolutely true than it would have been if we had not made the reforms. And I had not put, you cannot argue with the idea that if you put $4.2 billion into the plan in 5 years, that you have made the plan better than the people who put $3.4 billion in over 15 years. So I'm sorry that I'm the guy who's being responsible about this and actually has put more money in than anybody else. But it is not as simple as you on the back of your envelope taking $30 billion and saying, well, there must be there somewhere. Because guess what? If it was there, the Democrats would be doing it too. And the only idea they come up with is to increase taxes. So I'm not going to get in any further debate with you about it.
I thank you for your time, Governor.
I understand your position, but what I want to tell you is the progress that we've made on this has been significant. And what we need to do now is to get the people who are receiving extraordinary benefit, more extraordinary than anybody else in society receives, that those folks have to understand that they've got a choice to make now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
In your 2011, you made a promise. We weren't able to keep it, and now we have to go back. So it was a 2011 law that you signed. It was your promise to us.
I'm aware. It was not only, by the way, it was not only my promise, it was the legislature's promise.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
the legislature has not funded it either. So let's remember something. If it was going to be able to be funded, they'd fund it. And that's why I said what I said off the top. With all the parades and the standing on podiums and saying what they fully funded, go to the Democrats in the legislature and ask them where the money is. Ask them the same question you asked me, and I'm giving you the honest answer, which is it is not there. It's not there. Now, when we passed this law in 2011, both
Right.
the Office of Legislative Services and the Treasurer's Office both projected that we'd be able to make these payments.
So what happened?
The revenue didn't come in. They're projections. The revenue did not come in. So if the revenue doesn't come in, you've got 2 choices. Either lower costs or increase taxes. Those are your 2 choices. My choice is to lower costs. I do not and will not increase taxes on the people of New Jersey to pay for this. I'm not going to do it.